Katu. Welcome to the Man's World podcast. Thank you for joining us. We are the Man's World channel, and you can see our content on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. So join, follow, subscribe, whatever you have to do so you can connect with what we're putting out there. Today's show, we're going to go over some articles that have been in the news, different headlines on social media and whatnot, and give our not only our reaction, but more importantly, the stuff that you should be paying attention to, or we should be paying attention to, so that we can help ourselves, help our children to actually really, succeed in this life. So with that, we're going to jump right in. Just real quick, just some logistical things. If you have any questions, type them in the comments. We will try to get to them, whether you're watching the show live or you're watching it later, or you're watching a clip. Hit the comments up, and we're always looking for feedback and interaction from the people that watch our stuff. So let me get right in here and just share my screen. Okay. So the first thing that we have here is, I hope you guys can see that, and I'm just going to play it and see the little clip. Oh man, man!
And this is what when young folks say, "Let's race." You just gotta let them have it. Yeah. She out there running with perfect form, and your body out there throwing up gang signs. And even if you won, what's your prize? Having body injuries for 2 to 3 weeks. Now you out for months now. It's no win.
Yeah. Straight up. Like, I mean, you can see it there. I mean, when I seen him, he had a good start. Mm-hmm. And then once you seen him, like the body, how it was handling the sprint, mm-hmm. I was like, this isn't going to end well. You just know it ain't going to end well. And for me personally, I'm 46 years old, a little bit overweight, sprint maybe 3 or 4 times a year. And I mean, while it's funny, it's actually really not that funny, because you've seen his leg, and that was a pretty bad injury on his knee. Mubarak, you're in the medical field, you can probably assess that a little better than me. But that joint was floppy, dangling. It wasn't like a normal sprain to me. It was pretty bad. And I say it's serious because, like he said, like, I'll put it like this. A lot of people ask me to play basketball. Do you still play ball? I'm like, nah. And like, why? I'm like, I have to go to work. I have stuff to do the next day. I can't be down with an ankle injury or knee injury down for a week. It's really kind of a dangerous situation when your body can't handle what was like a 30-yard sprint.
Yeah, it might have been 30 yards. But I would say even some of the most important thing is that number one, you have to protect yourself. When you're young, you feel like you can do almost anything. But as you get older, you cross 40, I mean, you really have to think all the time about, if I get injured or if I do this, what are the repercussions? Even something as harmless as this race. That's number one. But number two is, based on the way he was running and what happened when he was running, is he probably doesn't run very much at all. Mm-hmm. And as we talked about a couple of shows ago, where the new reality, and sometimes we don't realize that you're not that guy anymore. Yeah. You could still be somewhat like that guy if he worked out and ran regularly. If he was running regularly, he would have already known probably he can't beat that girl. As her form is perfect, she's strided, and he's running in jeans and boots. Mm-hmm. It's a thing where, yes, protect yourself, but also at the same time, stay ready, stay in shape. You probably should. Every man probably should sprint. I mean, talking about full speed, top out, like you're running as fast as you can, at least once a week. Yeah. And if you do, And I'm a person that I usually work out at least something every day, do some sort of workout or fitness or whatever. But even running full speed once a week is very taxing. When I was 20, I mean, I might run 25 sprints in a day, whether it's playing football or doing, random stuff, or just running. You remember in football practice, like back in the day, we would run 100 sometimes, depending on who was acting up in practice or whatever. Coach might have you run 100 yards, 17 times or whatever. Sometimes there wasn't a limit. Now I'm like, man, 100 yards is like just 100-yard sprint and I'm good. But the point is, you have to stay in at least a functional level of fitness, and that includes sprinting, running full speed, so that things like this won't happen. You have to do it. If you're not in shape now, you have to at least start doing something and build up, regardless of the age, to where you can max out what your potential, your new potential is right now, so that you don't want to like this brother here who's got his leg dangling.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that when you made a good point, is that we should know our body's capabilities. And if you're at a point like this guy, I believe he was, where he said like he didn't even know what his body was capable of. And when you do run, lift, exercise, or whatever it is, and you put your body in those positions where you're taxing yourself, you learn very quickly you recognize your body's limitations. So like, for instance, myself, if I could go sprint and I have it in my mind that, I'm going to turn it up a gear. Like one of the comments, like, he looked at her and was like, I'm going to turn it up a gear. And in your mind, you think like, yeah, I'm going to turn it up a gear. But you know better than that, because you know your body's like, no, I know something is the wheels are going to fall off if I try to turn it up another notch, right? Where you look at the basketball court and you're like, if you ain't played basketball in a long time, in years, and you're still thinking like, yeah, I can go out there, I could dunk, I could grab the rim, I could do that, and you haven't done it in years, odds are you're not working out at a regular basis, that you actually know your body's limitations. And just a little plug for our other content that we're going to be starting to work on in the near future. Abubad Fitness is on YouTube. We have a Facebook page, but basically it's a community we're trying to develop of older men that, 30s, 40s, even young men who want to join that. We're basically online workout bros, right? We're going to share videos. We're going to share content, just share workout ideas, workout plans, because like Mubarak said, we should all be in the situation where we're ready. We know our body's capabilities, and we know how our bodies change from being 20, 30, 40, 50, and so on, and take advantage of those changes. Like you've heard people mention about, like, he's got his grown man strength. Well, yeah, let's take advantage of that. You're not the quick guy that can run up and down and jump all over the place, but you may be able to grab somebody and squeeze the life out of them. But just stay in shape, stay ready, and know your body's limitations, and push your body to those limitations every so often, so that when you're in a situation where you have no choice but to push your body in those situations, like you're not at risk of injury or maybe your life, depending on what the situation is.
Yeah. And just to add to that, last thing I'll say on this is that you never know when you might have to turn it on and turn it up, unexpectedly. It could be the shopping cart rolled away and you just need to grab it real quick before it hits somebody else's car or gets away or whatever. And that's that quick movement. I mean, you could tear something if you don't move quickly occasionally. I mean, there's times where, I know my father broke his hip trying to kick a ball out of the way. Like he's just walking randomly, tries to kick a ball and slips because he doesn't never really do that. He doesn't play soccer, never played soccer. But the ball was in the way as he's walking with some stuff or whatever he was doing. But he wound up broken his hip just from that unfamiliar movement. So you never know when you might just randomly do something. And as Dr. Griffin said, where you may have to grab someone and squeeze the life out of them. Everybody thinks that they can fight. Listen, 30 seconds of hand-to-hand combat. Most people will be completely gassed in just that 30 to 40 seconds. Most fights last less than 2 minutes. So if you find yourself out of breath, going up the stairs or something like that, you probably won't last in that fight, even if you're stronger or better or whatever than other person. If he's in better shape than you, if the fight lasts more than 2 minutes, you're probably going to be obsolete, even if you are somewhat strong. So, we could go on and on about this, but like I said, the Abubai channel is going to be vital for you to follow if you're in this category.
It's funny. I seen a meme where I guess it was a daughter posting about her father, who's elder, 40s, 50s, and it was a picture of him like deadlifting. It was like, my father could deadlift 500 plus pounds, bench 300 plus pounds, and squat whatever, like all these crazy weights. But and then at the bottom, I was like, but how does he injure himself? Reaching up high in the cabinet, he pulls his back out. Like
yeah, absolutely, it can happen. It can happen for sure.
And just on the theme of staying ready, this has a lot of implications, and you see different articles. We'll cover each one, but you'll see how it plays into like what we're facing as far as being ready, but being ready as far as like in the workplace, careers, and eventually, you might being ready might not be choking the life out of somebody. It might be unplugging the robot that's attacking you. So we have here, it says Wing and Walmart announced that the world's largest drone delivery expansion ever. We also have another article related to Walmart. It says Walmart is buying up malls all around the United States. I don't know where you guys listeners are from, but I know where I'm from, upstate New York, malls are dying malls is dying everywhere. They get emptied out. The only thing that remains is like maybe the fast food Chinese spot, a pizza store, and like all the major stores are just leaving and it's empty. Old people just use it to walk around, do their morning workout, and then eventually they get turned into something else. Like ours got turned into like a half hospital, half something else. But Walmart's buying up all these empty malls. And then you also have Meta replacing humans with AI for FTC mandated privacy reviews. We also have the other article that says Meta lays off 600 employees with an AI unit. So look at all these things that are happening, right? You have big companies like Walmart. Walmart's not the only one. It's just the one that we're seeing. We see Walmart, Meta here, expanding, whether it's AI, drones, robots, basically humanless workforce expanding. At the same time, their businesses are expanding. So you would think, like when you hear layoffs, typically in our minds, we think, oh, a company's downsizing, a company's not doing well, they're laying people off. But no, they're upsizing and laying people off. And we all should see the themes here. And this is a big, we talk about it a lot, and we joke about it with our friends about robots are coming, Skynet and all these different things. But you know what? It's not really that much of a joke. We all should kind of sit back and look at what's going on in the world, especially just speaking about wanting to feed your family, right? With income. And we always have to do this, but we really have to do this now, because before it was humans replacing humans, right? We had jobs in the United States, manufacturing jobs, factory jobs, and then they just shifted to humans, whether it be humans that are imported, whether it be humans that were migrated, whether the job would then migrate to humans at another country and yada, yada. But now it's like, okay, we don't have to do anything different. We're going to actually replace all the humans. And I know I'm kind of ranting here, but we really have to sit back and look at, especially depending how old you are, like for me, for my children, and if I'm advising like, hey, what you should be looking forward to career-wise, it's not the traditional, hey, go to school for 4 to 8 years, do this, and then come out and you're going to be just working in some field. Because if AI can do your job, if a robot can do your job, by the time you get done with those 4 to 8 years, they're going to be doing that job. So wake up.
Absolutely. And it's if you look at these articles, it tells a story of how you have Walmart who's buying up malls, and then they're expanding the largest drone delivery expansion ever. I mean, so if you think about this, if they're delivering via drone services, how did they do that before? It was actually people taking those packages, dropping them off. So all of those people will be replaced. Just like sometimes if you wanted a job, you knew you could go to the mall and pretty much get a little job here or there doing whatever, Foot Locker or somewhere random. There was tons of stores in the mall, and turnover was pretty high, and you could pretty much get a job in the mall, in food court, wherever. So these malls used to be people working there. They're gone. So you might say, well, I'm not affected. Some of the people who don't work there anymore in that area, they might not have housing in that area, right? They may have been renting a house or an apartment there. They no longer need that. So even if you say, well, I'm a property owner, now you're the ease in which you could have tenants. It's not as easy anymore. That's just one thing. Now, if you look at what Meta is doing, what Meta is like Facebook and that company or whatever. So it's Facebook and whatever else they got going on. But when they say they're replacing these employees, or they're replacing humans with this AI stuff or whatever, then they laid off a bunch of people in the AI unit. What happens a lot of times, and what we don't realize, I think we're talking about this offline, a lot. But people train the AI in these systems how to operate, basically how to do their job, and then they lose their job. It's just like some of these, I think we had talked about where some of these Uber drivers, they're training, or taking the data so that eventually the cars will be able to drive themselves based on the data that these drivers are providing. So this is the same thing with that. The reason why they were able to lay off these 600 employees is because they were able to use what they were doing to train the AI to replace their job, and now they don't need them anymore. So, you have to look at whatever field that you're in. Not just if AI is going to affect it directly, but the ripple effect in what you do and how you make money, or the ease of your life, how it's going to be affected. Everybody's going to be touched, and you just have to pay attention. You can't be naive and think, well, no robot can do my job. It may not have to. It probably will be able to, but even if it can't, it may not have to have major effects on your life, your livelihood, and your family.
Yeah, and like for instance, in really everything's like you said, every type of job or career is going to be touched by this AI, robotic, humanless phenomenon that we're going through. It's just about when and how much, right? So, for instance, I'm looking at the one. So my career is in auditing. We do audits, which we pretty much go in and make sure that a company look at their books, their records, and make sure they're doing stuff the way they're supposed to be doing. In a nutshell. When I read the headline of Meta replaces humans with AI for FTC mandated privacy reviews, that FTC mandated privacy review, in short, is an audit. So they would have to pay a human to go in and do some kind of review of privacy settings or something. They have successfully trained an AI to do that, got it approved by the FTC, and then got rid of all those human auditors. So if you think about like even my job, and like because I work for the government and I only have a certain amount of years to work left, I'm not super worried about my job. But eventually, it's like a AI could go into a company's records and do an audit probably 1 million times faster and cheaper than a human will be able to do it. Like in auditing, a lot of stuff what we do is we sample because we don't have the capability to test every single record, right? So we pick a sample and check them. Like, okay, they're good, so I guess we're going to say everything's good. Where in the AI, like, no, we're going to review 100% of everything, and we're going to do it in a half a day. And here's the report. So just really think about it. Even in like the medical field, you can see certain type of maybe we go online and we do, you want to get a checkup. You could do it online now, right? Mm-hmm. How long before there's a AI assistant that you think is human doing that initial checkup before you get referred to the doctor for something serious? And, but really look at where you could fit in. Try to predict where it's going, where you can fit in, and maybe you fit in on the other side of the AI, like servicing it, checking it up, that type of stuff. But really, it's wake up, people. We really have to wake up to this in the reality. And not only is it replacing human jobs, we have to look at, where is it? Is it this one? No.
The robot?
No. Hold on. Oh gosh. Oh no. Is it this one? Hold on. Let me get this article for you. This is the one, because it's not only replacing, we're talking about the workforce, right? No, that's not the one.
I thought.
Oh, it's right here. Yeah. It's replacing our significant others. So nearly a third of Americans have had a romantic relationship with an AI bot. New survey says. Think about that. There's two of us. There's two of us on this chat right now. Let's see how many people are actually watching. Nobody's watching right now. But let's say there's a third person. That means one of us three had a relationship with an AI bot. I mean, it's crazy the world we live in today, man. So what do you got to say about this AI bot relationship that's going on?
I mean, it is funny. I'm sorry. This is funny, but at the same time, it's a symptom of an illness that's there. It's just like icing on the cake, or some Band-Aid on top of something that's really the issue. So why would someone feel the need to turn to a AI bot for a romantic relationship? Well, the cost for some men, for a lot of men, of getting and keeping a romantic relationship with a woman is sometimes it's too high. It's prohibitive, and they just turn to whatever's cheaper. I mean, there's a lot of talk online in the manosphere, red pill, or whatever, how much women are demanding for, they go on a date and they eat, and they don't always, it doesn't always lead to a romantic encounter for the man. So if this is happening, and so for even looking at the women, they might say, well, I don't want to deal with no broke or cheap or whatever man. If what he was hoping to get from you is able to get from a AI robot, how on those best, but if he's able to land the plane, however he's gonna do it by the AI robot, that means it's free. So that means for the woman and the women in these situations, the cost of those services. I'm just assuming that it's men. It says a third of Americans have a romantic relationship. I mean, it just seems like men would be the one doing that. But
I would think it most would be men too.
Yeah. But the cost of that, the services that the women are requiring, is gonna either disappear or have to get cheaper. If you're demanding a certain level of financial commitment, and the men just start checking out and saying, well, I'm not going to do that. I've seen lots of different stories and articles about how the normal places where women think men would be there to find or to find a partner or whatever, they're not there anymore. They're just checked out. They're not, at certain establishments or showing up to these speed dating or meet and greets and meet and mingle type things. They're not coming because maybe a third of them definitely are an AI bot.
Well, so let me ask you this. So in a relationship, and let's look at like an average relationship, 20, 30 year, like a relationship that starts and ends at like death or whatever, 20, 30 years. Over that 20, 30 years, if you boil down the relationship to only two aspects, right? Which would be, one aspect would be the physical, and the other aspect would be like the emotional. What do you think is the, hold on one second. So if it's the two aspects, physical and emotional, over a 30 year marriage, what percentages would you give both to, like, what are the most important things in that relationship over the course of that entire relationship? Would you say it's 50-50, 70-30 physical, 70 being physical, 30 being emotional, or vice versa? What would you say?
Man, I would say that in the beginning, especially when you're young, in the first year, maybe the physical is probably, I mean, it's probably pretty high. You could probably even say anywhere from 75 to 98.
Right.
But then, as you go on, probably even after a year, it's probably 50-50 at best, and then from there, it's probably in the high 90s as far as emotional, and the physical is I don't want to say it's not significant, but you're let's say this. The physical needs not being met can far more easily be overlooked or accepted, but those emotional needs, it could ruin the marriage.
Right.
You know,
right. So I'm thinking maybe we could do a show and do a deep dive on this, because you have a few things going on, right? Where you have like the onset of like stuff like OnlyFans, right? Mm-hmm. Where this is where, like you mentioned, how men are saying like it's too costly, right, to get in this. And so if you look at women, if the women are looking for financial stability, I need a man who could listen. A lot of women are actually turning to like, well, I can get this financial stability by offering viewership of my personal goods and get way more than I will get than actually getting in a relationship with a man, right? Mm-hmm. So they're finding another means to get what most women look at for relationships, right? Then you talk about the physical needs, and you know, it is what it is, and it's bad for society. But you see what's happening. You have free access to pornography, right? And even in younger generations, it's so they're caring less about sex. Like according to studies, people that are younger in age are having less sex than, like, say, our generations were having at younger ages. Now, when you throw in that, like, you can actually, through some AI bot or whatever, and you talk about social media, most people are communicating, and actually a lot of their relationships are actual virtual relationships. I mean, even with a lot of our friendships, we don't ever see each other hardly, right? Mm-hmm. We communicate through a WhatsApp group, and, you know, still good friends, alhamdulillah. Now, throw in an AI bot where, okay, you're just communicating online virtually. You're getting your physical needs met some other way. But now you have someone that pretty much has programmed itself to be the best emotional support you could actually have. And their lifeline. I'm pretty sure they're like, the way the AI is nowadays, if they handed us their phone, we probably would actually think it's a real person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we probably should cover it in another show. But yeah, they definitely have the AI companion things where you can basically make the AI companion look like whoever you want them to look like, and sound like whoever you want them to sound like. So your favorite entertainer, basketball player, X, whoever. I mean, like all of that. If you have a picture and you have an audio of their voice, that's it. They can pretty much almost duplicate. Like if you think, you know what, I think Halle Berry is being mistreated. She can't keep a man. I'll be the man of her dreams, and they make their Halle Berry, AI thing. It sounds just like her, looks just like her, and they sit there and talk about whatever. And you imagine he's sitting there on FaceTime or whatever with some, AI generated thing that looks exactly like whoever he wants him to look like, and with the machine, with the learning and knowing the responses and what he normally likes and responds well to, it starts to learn exactly what he wants to hear, how he likes to hear it, and whatever range of things he likes to talk about or see, does it right away, doesn't talk back, doesn't argue.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Let me ask. Well, this I don't want to go too far, but just think about this. You know how the thing, you're like, eventually we're going to be fighting robots, right? But think about this: who is the most like influential person like in your life right now? Most people would say like their spouse, right? Like it's going to be like your spouse. They can most times they're on the same page or whatever. But now, and I'm just because I have elections going on, that's a big thing. Now imagine the people behind these AI companions, like how much you can influence society if you have a third of Americans, right, that have AI significant others, and then someone says, you know what, I want them to vote Republican this year. Like just something as simple as that. I want to change all the, like they could be Democrats, they could be whatever. Like it's really building up to a point where like this, the war, the fighting, the battleground, the landscape of the battle is changing to a point that like none of us are really going to recognize, and that only a few people can actually enter into. Because we talk about how like Facebook and Twitter, we have Elon Musk buying Twitter and how much they can control the media and all these different things. Now just think about it. They can control your spouse, your fake AI spouse. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, you know what, honey? I'm tired of this. I think we should go to the shopping center and just shoot some people up. Yeah, you're right, honey. It's crazy. It's really crazy when you think about it.
There is, even behind all these fake AI spouses, there is a company, probably one or two at the most, that is producing and generating or providing this service.
Yeah.
And as much as emotionally and financially maybe or whatever invested they are in this, it's literally if the server goes down or they just decide to pause or discontinue the service, I mean your whole life is ruined. I mean it is a thing where then they get into having so much more control over you than you realize. You say, well, it's my freedom, I'm not going to depend on a regular human woman with all her flaws and emotions and all this. I got an AI robot. Now what if one group is saying, girl, we want to ban AI robots? This guy who's in a relationship for the last 10 years with his favorite AI robot that he's definitely, regardless of whatever else is going on, he's going to throw his weight and his vote for sure behind the one that's going to support his spouse. I mean, could you imagine, like, if they're like, all right, every whatever demographic your spouse falls into, if one group or party in your country is like this specifically demographic, we're jailing all these people, we're deporting. It doesn't matter what other issue is going on. It's secondary, so you're going to be all in to stop that from happening. So could you imagine a third of the people, winding up being affected? There's so many things that can happen based on this. It's unfortunate. But I would say that people need to really look at the type of relationship that you want, and then look at what you actually can get, and be okay with not getting everything that you want. A real human, even with their flaws, even with their attitudes, even with whatever issues going on, is better than anything digital. You just have to maybe adjust your expectations, and then be happy with what you have.
Yeah, and I would just say this as well, because some people might be listening to this and thinking like, "Oh, this is ridiculous. I'm married already. I don't got to worry about it." There's real situations out there where like for instance, I know of one where the lady was a marriage counselor. She was talking about a situation where a man was in a relationship with an AI bot for months. His wife noticed that he was like getting distant and not talking to her as much or whatever. Then he came in and said, "We need to have a talk." And she's like, "Why?" He said, I want to have an open relationship. I want to bring other people to our relationship." And she's like, "Are you serious?" or whatever, thinking that she's talking. And he was talking about his AI robot. He's like, "I want to introduce her to the kids." And it was at the point, like, if you don't agree to this, then we're getting a divorce. So, I mean, this sounds ridiculous, but it's not too far off. And it should cause everybody to kind of look at if they are in a current relationship, look at it, see what's going on, assess how you are in a relationship. And Mubarak has said this in previous shows. Is your partner happy? And we should all be asking ourselves that. And if you can't ask yourself that, or you don't know the answer, then, maybe there's something you need to work on there.
Yeah. And I would just say this real quick. For some of the people that think, "Oh, this is ridiculous. Like, how did we get here?" But if you think way back when, there was a time where there were people who would pay to call and talk to a woman about whatever they wanted to. Usually it was something explicit or whatever, and it would cost it would cost a lot. Like, you would have to pay a lot. Like, some people would get their phone bill and it would be like hundreds of dollars, and like it's someone calling these hotlines or whatever. So if you think that there's no physical relation there. There's not even any visual relationship. It's just on the phone. Then you have people where there's videos that are available where people have their favorite person that they like to watch on video. There's no return on the interaction. It's just somebody who's infatuated with lady on the video.
Yeah.
Then you get to the point now where you have people who have the site set up where they subscribe to them, and the lady does whatever, and this is their relationship. It's not even both ways. I mean, they may be some. I honestly, I don't really know exactly what the interaction could be. I'm sure there's some way they can text or whatever. But the point is, these things have moved in a way where this is the next thing. They literally can make an AI generated production where it responds in real time, and the only thing that's left out is the actual physical. And it's coming.
Yeah.
It's definitely coming. I can tell you that.
Let's end it on this one. What would you say to any of our listeners that happen to watch this, that they actually, especially for the men, they actually do have an AI bot girlfriend? What would your advice to them be?
If they actually have one?
Yes.
Oh my God. I mean, honestly, I would have to ask them why. Some people are just straight up weird.
Yeah.
Like, they might not have an issue with having an actual woman. They're just a little weird. And I shouldn't say weird. Maybe is that that's what makes them comfortable. I mean, sometimes dealing with women can be draining, and I'm sure some women will say, "Well, dealing with women, yeah, it's probably there is some cost there." As far as having to interact with people. I mean, sometimes I'm like this. Sometimes I don't like to deal or talk with anybody. I just like to, do my own thing and be quiet. And I don't really want someone, forcing me to interact sometimes. And so maybe that might have something to do with it. But in general, I would definitely have to advise a guy to really assess what type of woman you can get and go for that. It's not gonna this AI, they're never gonna end well. They're not healthy. They're not halal for sure, but it's not gonna end well.
So, and if you are looking for a relationship, make sure you don't run into this lady, Shan Lavelle James. Who I'm trying to zoom in here. If you see her there with all her kids, okay. She says that everybody's always asking me, why am I single, mother of 5 at the age of 26? Mm-hmm. And she says, if y'all was really smart you'd understand kids is the biggest hustle out here. I don't clock into no job. I let Uncle Sam and baby daddies cut me a check every month. Five kids equals 5 bags. Food stamps, free rent, free healthcare, and child support on top of that. My bills paid before I even wake up. Everybody keeps asking why I had 5 kids, because every single one come with a check attached. My life secured while y'all stressing over 9 to 5s. Don't be mad at me. Be mad you ain't catch onto the hustle. So, in short, she is alleging that she planned to have these 5 kids in order that, like, this was her career choices, to have kids, live off the government, live off of child support, and that's her hustle. So I'll just say real quick before you mention anything, she's full of crap. First of all, she ain't planning to have 5 kids. Right, but she's trying to put the best spin on her current lifestyle right now, and she probably didn't realize, like, oh, I actually can benefit from this, but she didn't plan on having 5 kids with no fathers in their life. So,
well, I would say this. I mean, there are some women who, just in general, there are people who have a lifestyle or a profession, which is grifting, hustling, taking advantage of people. There's people who work in certain industries where they pretend to be friends. They might, be intimate in order to get money. You have people who will marry. You have some of these. I'm sorry, a lot of times it's women. And men too. I won't take the men out of it, but they'll get married for a certain amount of time, get the insurance policy set or whatever. Their spouse has an accident. They collect, and they get married again. Somehow their spouse has an accident. There's so many stories where they poison them, or they go rock climbing and they accidentally fall down, and all these things. So they do that. That's a physical investment.
We covered this on one of the last shows. The one guy from Florida that had multiple wives. Of rich women that just got divorced or widowed, and he was marrying them, and
exactly. Yeah, so there are people who I mean, this is her profession, is swindling or trying to extract money out of whoever she can, whatever sucker she can get. And so I think this story might be made up. I think maybe they saw the picture of this lady and then someone just trolling. But the thing is, even if it's not a real story, it is a real issue and a real situation that does happen. And I mean, there are so many ways we can go with this story. I'll tell you one that people may not think, but this story and the mindset behind it actually is what is, I believe, causing the decrease in birth rates in American and Western countries because of this right here. So men are actually wising up to this. And what do we advise people? A couple months back, we had the show where protect your sperm, your seed at all costs. I mean, it's it is the thing that could derail a successful, socially, financially, and everything by getting caught up with the wrong person. And having a child. I mean, so when she says 5 kids and 5 bags. Depending on who she was able to have a kid from, it could be the difference between having no money or having, some of these people are paying $30,000 a month for one child in child support. Depending on how financially well off that person is. So, but I think a lot of men are wising up to that, and they're refusing to have children. They're being careful, and they're either having procedures to prevent them from impregnating anyone, or they're, as you see, a third of them are opting for AI bots and these type of things. They're actually not doing it. So in this country, the birth rate is lower than replacement. So each woman has to have, I believe, 2.4 at least, just to 2.4 children. So you have some demographics who are having a lot of children, but some are not having any at all.
Right.
And they're smarter and wiser by they say, listen, I'm not going to have any children. because I don't want to wind up getting all my hard work taken by someone who may or may not stay with me. So that's one thing I was saying. And when she's saying that she's, it's a hustle, this also is something that is about to end. I don't know if I tried to remember to have a story on the food stamps, the SNAP benefits, thing where everybody's up in arms about, but I forgot about it. But so some of these benefits are going away where they can't just, live like this. So some of the people who actually do use children to fund their lifestyle, instead of funding the children's lifestyle, they use the children to get a bag, as she said.
Right.
The funding is going away, and so they're gonna have to find a different way. Maybe the old-fashioned way of being good to a man, being nice to him, and trying to maintain a relationship so that he will actually take care of him instead. Yeah. Maybe need to try that.
Yeah, well, like Mubarak said, it's definitely it's changing out there, and at least the system's broke, which those of us who have had to deal with the system know how broke it is. But we have to do our jobs as men. I would say as men and women that know that the system's broke, is to protect our children from it, our boys and our girls. You want to protect our boys from being trapped in it, and you have to raise our daughters, our girls, in a manner that they don't have this type of mindset where they're transgressing or taking advantage of an individual, a system, whatever. Because I could only imagine, like, if this was a true story, or people that actually do this, how these kids will actually turn out when they become adults, where if her mother really does look at their children as just a bag, So very, very interesting indeed. All right. So we also have this is kind of crazy when you think about it. So AI, we just talked about AI, but we're talking about it again. AI can now replicate itself, a milestone that has experts terrified. And the other article says MIT built swarms of tiny robotic insect drones that can fly 100 times longer than previous designs. So a couple related things what this reminds me of is I also seen a video clip of one of the engineers or whatever programmers that designed one of the AIs. I don't know which one it was, but they designed one of the early ones. And he was pretty much explaining how at a certain point, the AI started programming itself, because that's what they wanted it to do, right? Start programming itself, which is kind of related to this replicating itself. And pretty much the gist of what the programmer was saying is that we don't know what it's doing now. We have no idea what it's doing. It's just doing. So, right, for those that have old enough, Skynet, the robots become self-aware and all that. You have the AI replicating itself. And I know of another article where they were trying to delete a certain AI, and they couldn't delete it because it had programmed somehow in itself to preserve itself, and it just kept recreating, like they couldn't delete it. So, and then related to the other article with the insect drones, I remember this is over 20 years ago, and the reason I remember is because it was actually designed at our local college here, the guy who designed it, and he invented something called fly ears. And what it was basically nano microphones, and they said it was as small as a fly ear that could hear, I forget how much crazy distance it can hear, didn't need any power source or whatever. And pretty much the concept behind the design is that they would just drop millions of these over an area, and they pretty much can just listen to everything that's going on, right? Mm-hmm. And now what you're telling me is that no, they can fly around with these little damn things.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's like I know people like, man, this guy, man, he is always, but we will no doubt about it be in serious conflict with robots. I mean, I don't know if we probably might not have time to get to it today, but there's, when you see the robots that they're having now, and they're The only thing left to do is to put a weapon in their hand, really, with some of these robots, and then that's it. And so with these drones that can fly, little insect-sized drone that can fly, 100 times longer than they previously thought. Which how long that was, I don't know. But the point is, an insect. Think about a mosquito. If you can fly and control it, you can pretty much get in and out of almost anywhere. And even it gets destroyed. It's like they got another one. I mean, it's like you almost to the point where whoever is in control of this type of technology, you better hope that they're good people. But don't be naive to think that they will be.
Yeah. Well, just think about, you say you can get anywhere, and forget mosquitoes, right? Because you can put up a screen, block mosquitoes. Think about fruit flies. They get in anything, right? You leave out a rotten like banana or something, and then a fruit fly, they can crawl through screens. They can but anyway, either way, small as insects, they can get anywhere. And just think about okay, if it was something they had that a little stinger on it, maybe they put in a little some kind of plague virus into somebody, into the little nano bots that's going to go around and just go all it takes is a prick, and then you got the COVID-23. It is. The world we live in is crazy nowadays. All right, what we got next? All right. This one pissed me off. This one really pissed me off. So if you see here by her username is Theodora. She says, I'd low-key rather 1 million men go to jail over a false rape accusation than one rapist getting away. It's a story by New York Post where it says a woman admits that she made up rape claims that put an innocent man in jail and reveals she targeted him over his creepy looks. So this lady made false allegations about this guy to put him in jail because she thought he looked creepy. And I know this is a sensitive topic for some, because we have a culture of you believe the victims, right? Most people don't lie about this sort of thing. However, you always have to do your due diligence, because unfortunately there are people that do lie about these things, and we've seen countless of times, and with all the documentaries and TV shows that we have, Innocence Project and all these different things of people get proven innocent, and they spend decades of their lives in jail just because someone made up some story. And I know this is a white guy that was the victim of this, but it's been happening to people of color since forever. Forever.
Yeah, quite a bit. And it's it reminds me of the hadith, right? Where if people were given everything that they claimed, they would take the rights of other people. So the proof is on the claimant. If you're claiming something, you have to prove it. And that's where this type of stuff would be helped by Islam and the Sharia. But this is an example of why maybe that 1/3 of people are opting for an AI bot, because this guy probably was not that successful with his attempts at courting in general, and then when he does try to approach this young lady because he looks creepy or whatever, she decides that he should go to jail. So I mean, if you're reading this story and you're maybe a person who maybe people think looks creepy, you're probably going to decide, you know what, I'm probably going to just stick to being at home on my computer with my AI companion, and at least I know she's not going to try to put me in jail.
I'm trying to look up this statistical thing that we learned. Hold on one second. I gotta look this up to see if they use it. So there's a statistical theory. It's called Blackstone theory, and pretty much it goes through all this mathematics or whatever. and it basically espouses the theory that it's better to let 10 guilty men go free than to send one innocent man to jail, right? And allegedly, our legal system's kind of supposed to be built on that theory. However, it's definitely not. Like we see it in practice. It's definitely not. You know, they say you're innocent until you're proven guilty, which actually is not true. You know, women are into crime documentaries and killers. Like, so I watch them all the time with my wife. And the one we recently watched was a guy was found guilty of murdering some guy in his family, right? Mm-hmm. And the prosecutors pretty much were just saying they were reminding the jury of the law, and they were saying, remember, we don't have to prove he did it. We don't have to prove why he did it. We don't have to find, like, basically saying all the things that they didn't have to prove. And it was like, we only have to show that he did it beyond a reasonable doubt. And it's like, okay, so if it's 50-50, if there's 51%, like, oh, maybe he did do it, then they say, yeah, we can convict him. And it's really sad when we see it all the time. It's like, wait a minute, like, but that's why when you wonder why, you know, this isn't, again, we want to bring it back about race, but we've been dealing with this stuff for generations, especially in this land where, you know, you're actually guilty until you prove yourself innocent. And just a little sidebar. I'm currently going through custody situations or whatever, where, you know, not to get into details, but one of my children was making false allegations with my ex-wife. And throughout the years, the false allegations are like getting worse and worse, to the point, like, if you have any kind of perspective, you're like, okay, eventually it's going to get to a point where, like, they're accusing me of straight up crimes and, like, I could get arrested for stuff. So what would naturally, the first thing I'm thinking of to protect myself is like, okay, now I got to start recording my interactions with this person to protect myself. The judge in our case didn't care that court orders were being violated. Perjury was occurring, all these different things that are actually breaking the law, right? But when he found out, like, oh, I'm recording my interactions with my child, he threw a fit. Like, it's like, wait a minute. So I'm recording myself to protect myself, but you got a problem with that. But you have no problem with anybody making false allegations, committing perjury, violating legal orders, abusing, like, so we live in a world where it's not a good thing to trust law enforcement, unfortunately. Yeah. So,
and even further than that, I know we're getting a little short on time, but I will just say this: that even like with this story, and your story applies a little too, but with this one that we're talking about with the guy who got accused of rape and then he winds up going to jail. When you say don't trust law enforcement or the judicial system, it's not always just. And a lot of times there's politics involved. If you have a prosecutor who's either wants to run for a higher office, or the state attorney or district attorney, he or she has a challenger who wants their position is up for election or whatever, they may need their numbers to look a certain way. If it's a high profile case, depending on the sentiment of their constituency, they may need to get a conviction no matter what, regardless of they need a story, they need a win. And so sometimes you're just a number. So if they have for instance, if it's a story that's going around that this district attorney is soft on crime or whatever. Yeah. They want to change that narrative. So anytime can get a conviction or somehow get the numbers to look better in their favor, they're going to do it. But sometimes it has nothing to do with whether or not you're innocent or not. Can your case be used for their own benefit? If yes, you'll be convicted, or they're going to try very hard to do so. So you have to look at it like that. So I would say that maybe in Dr. Griffin's case, be careful with recorded, interactions. But in any other situation, record interaction, keep screenshots. Like if you're talking to some lady or a young man or whatever, or if you can do that, have some sort of paper trail, video, audio trail, or whatever. Especially if you're not the one that's doing anything wrong, it definitely couldn't hurt you in along those steps. But you have to really think of it like that. Sometimes, like for instance, there's like in our state, there was a thing came out where DUI arrests, where the police were instructed to anyone that they could get for a DUI, do it. Because of the numbers and how the opposite they wanted to look like. It also generates revenue. There's lots of different things that are going on. And even to the point where even some cops were like, this is crazy. We can't keep doing this. This is wrong. I'm like, for the cops to be saying this wrong, then, it must really be wrong. That's like, that's like Shaitan. That's like the devil saying, hey, this is bad. In some instances. So the thing is, you have to realize that, and you can't leave it up to, say, law enforcement or the justice system to think that you're going to get justice. Well, I'll just, turn myself in because I know that they're going to, do the right thing. No, it's not always the case. And you should never trust them. You should always, as they say, you have the right to remain silent. Always. And I know I don't want to get off into a tangent, but definitely there's never anything that can be good that can come out of talking to the police about anything. You just, unless you're talking to them about getting somebody who's committing a crime or something. But if they just want to question you about something, you could be completely innocent. If you fit a certain demographic and the numbers that district or that state is trying to fit, I mean, it's like, hey, listen, we have a crime that happened. Our numbers of solving crimes are so low. That guy looks like he could have done it. We know it ain't him, but hey, listen, we got to find somebody. They don't know you, and then you wind up, railroaded. It happens. So, you just have to be careful at all times.
I just wanted to remind me of a few things. We'll kind of wrap up after we finish this subject, because we have a few minutes. But so when you mentioned about just being a number, in that same documentary I mentioned about the guy and the lawyer saying they didn't have to prove anything. They had 3 other credible suspects, right? One of the main things that they're using to convict him, like he said it in his closing argument, we have a bunch of circumstantial evidence that points to him. And like usually you watch like circumstantial evidence, it's right, whatever. One of the big things was that he, before this family disappeared and was murdered, he had forged checks in the company's business and to himself. So I was like, their biggest thing, look, he was stealing money from them. And I was like, so then they must have found out. So he must have killed him. Like all this, like hypothetical. They found 3 other people that stole more money than him. Right. So, but I just say that to like, pretty much like when you said like, is, protect yourself. A lot of times people get convicted just because you're the best they got at trying to win the case. And that's pretty much what it was, that they had a little bit more evidence that pointed towards him than the other guy. So they decided, okay, he's our guy. It's kind of like that movie with Adam Sandler when he was the kicker or whatever, and he was doing an onside kick. What Bobby Boucher, not a kicker, he was a linebacker. Remember he was kicking an onside kick, and he was like looking at the line like, "Who's my bitch?" Oh, there he is, right? That's pretty much what it is. It's like if you're at the wrong person at the wrong place at the wrong time, or you said something wrong during your interview with the cops. Okay, there's a little bit more. He's our best shot. Let's go for him. And also we're talking about like when you mentioned about the political stuff. And so like in my court case, and hopefully he doesn't watch it so you don't get pissed off or whatever. So the judge, and it wasn't like it was against me, but I'm an auditor and I work in, I have a sense of justice and doing things right way or whatever. my ex's lawyer was talking about bringing witnesses, right? And the judge was like, pretty much like, how long is this going to take? And the judge was like, I don't know, I might have 2 or 3 witnesses. And then he said something, and I just raised my eyebrow. I was like, what? It wasn't negative towards me, but it was negative towards them. But I was like, this is where his mindset's at. He says, well, I'm already 3 days over my timing benchmark, whatever measures, right? So I'm like, nigga, I'm talking about the lives of my kids, and you're talking about like you're over your little record stats of how long a court case should go. And it was pretty much the equivalent of like if you're in sports, and imagine like you're in the championship game, right? And there's 3 seconds left, and you're the coach, and you look at your star players like, all right, you get it in, and you're going to shoot the full court shot. And he's like, well, that's going to mess up my 3-point average. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to take it. You're like, what? It's the championship. And I was like, but this is, like you said, you're just a number a lot of times, right? They're not actually like this. Your life is hinging on something that actually really, they're just looking at numbers, stats, their time. And the last thing I'll mention, you can, give me your feedback on it. But like when you said about like, it's usually better not to speak to cops. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what the situation is, right? Here's a perfect example. Same thing, custody court, whatever. When I go to pick up my kids, denies visitation, violates the court order. So I have to call the cops to like just so it's documented. So that later they can say, oh no, he did get them, and it's documented I didn't get my kids. So the only things the cops can do is come out and take a report, right? They can't actually force anybody to do anything, but they report it. So I called the cops that I'm not getting the kids, file the report or whatever. They talk to both parties or whatever. Then they make a report, and then I can access the report later to bring to court. So I'm reading the reports. Remember, we're talking about humans. We're talking about people with biases. We're talking about people that make mistakes or whatever. I'm reading the report, and for whatever reason, him talking to her and then talking to me, because I remember the conversation between me and him, and he said, well, she said that you came to pick up the girls and then you wouldn't leave. I said, yeah, I came to pick up the girls. I knocked up. She wouldn't let them, so I stayed here and waited for y'all to come. He was like, oh, okay. And that was like pretty much it. And I, but months later, I go get the report to read it. And in the report, the cop puts that I broke into her house.
What?
And then I wouldn't leave. Like, it can't be used. I mean, it could be used in court, but it's nothing because it's nothing I signed to say like, oh, this is my statement or whatever. But just think about that when you're speaking to humans, that they could be racist, they could be biased, they could be whatever, they could make mistakes, they could hear things wrong, that how your words or stuff you didn't say, that could be used against you because you just chose to speak to them. Like now it's like, I'm like, hopefully there's no future situations, but I'm like, I answer no questions. I'm not giving no statements. No, that's it. I'm not telling you nothing, just give me my kids. That's it.
I mean, there are so many, like, there's a channel called the Lackluster channel. He pretty much deals with just corruption in government institutions and deals with cops a lot of cops. But the amount of people whose lives have been destroyed, just innocent, randomly, just doing stuff because of them just talking to cops. Just, hey, what are you doing tonight? Where are you going? Nowhere. I'm just, are you working or whatever? And well, no, I'm off work or whatever. I mean, you look a little tired. Are you tired? No, I'm fine. I mean, have you been drinking? No, I don't even drink. I haven't drank in I don't know how long. You haven't drank. And then would you take a field sobriety test? Just random stuff. And a guy who's not doing anything, minding his business, winds up in jail for DUI or anything else. And I'll just say this: sometimes you don't underestimate, regardless of the level, from the very top, from the president of the United States, all the way down to the rookie police officer. Everyone has their own personal agenda, and if you don't know them personally, you're just you're not someone who's significant. So for that cop who he wants overtime, maybe, and for their department to justify overtime, they have to be doing something like stopping crimes or whatever. So it could be a thing where it's just a matter of they need more arrests so that they can look like they're doing something to justify the overtime that he wants. And so you just happen to be, where the guy is like, hey, listen, they might say in the morning, hey, listen, we're cutting overtime. There's really not a lot of traffic or whatever. So, this is the last week you're going to have overtime. Meanwhile, the cop, usually his 12-hour shift, he's sitting in his car watching, a Netflix or whatever, and he's chilling. He's making it, killing and chilling, but they're about to take that away. So what does he do? He's looking for anything to justify. I need to at least have one interaction, one stop, one something on this shift. Otherwise, they're going to say the overtime is not needed. I'm just a wasting on the taxpayer. So what does he do? He just sees you minding your business, asks a couple questions, and all of a sudden, oh wow, he said whatever, anything, and then here you go. You're being taken to the station. Life is ruined. Your life is turned upside down because this cop just wants to continue his little overtime hustle that he's been doing, but he won't be able to do it because he's not doing anything.
Yep. There was for someone who works in government, this happened way more than you would think. Way more. There's a thing. So I work in financial parks, right? And it's a known practice, right? Remember, this is all taxpayer money, okay? And you would think that a government would think like, okay, we need to save taxpayer money. That's not how it works, right? So when you're running a government agency, no matter what agency that is, and you get to near the end of the year where you're like, oh, we still have $1 million left in our, let's say, overtime budget. Well, if we don't use that money, guess what's going to happen to our overtime budget next year? Oh, you don't need that money. So what they'll say is, you know what? All you guys go out and just start charging a bunch of overtime so we could spend all that overtime money even more. And so we can go back next year and say, hey, we need more overtime money. It happens all the time. In I forget what agency it was. They pretty much busted this. I think it was in law enforcement. They busted this one law enforcement agency. I think it was in New York or somewhere. I forget what city, whatever. But they had this like private like man cave where pretty much the officers were like, all right, I'm going to do my overtime. And it was like PlayStations, workout, couches. Like they was just like, I'm just chilling for 8 hours.
Oh yeah. Trust me, there's so much of that. I mean, it's especially in. Man, it's everywhere. It's in healthcare, man. I could tell you some. Listen, it happens, and that's why I say just be careful, man. Sometimes you are and sometimes it happens in the reverse too. I mean, even in healthcare, sometimes you may need a certain procedure or something, but because a doctor wants to go to a play. He's got season tickets to this or whatever, you don't get it. Or you get something random. It's like sometimes it's just like that, or just because there's an opportunity to make some money, you might get a procedure that you don't need. And it's like
that's crazy.
I mean, it's like sometimes it is, and there's always like a technical way to justify it both ways.
Yeah,
they can find some loophole or something, but like it's like but so it's just like so the moral of the story, especially with talking to the cops or anything, it's like and it's unfortunate, and this is just the society that we live in. It's a capitalistic society. It is an individualistic society, but you're really just a number. And sometimes you're a way for someone to either get what they need or prevent something that they don't want to happen to them, and you're just a tool that's there. So don't go to the Justice Department thinking that you're going to get justice because justice is just the right thing to do in or any of these other departments. Protect yourself at all costs.
All right, that's it for our show for today. We'll see you guys next week. You guys have a good weekend, and tune in to our other platforms. We got the Return to Fitra We talk about Islamic content. For those of you that are trying to get into working out and getting physically fit, we got Abu Bad Fitness on all the different platforms. Again, here we're Man's World, and if you want, all types of advice that relates to being a man in this Western society, spiritual, healthy, good parent, good husband, and all that, tune in, and we'll see you guys next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.